Good morning, everyone. Here we are, a few days before Christmas, or happy holidays to all of you out there, no matter which holiday you celebrate. Wish you all happy holidays. And here we go. We are jumping in and doing part 6 of a series. What we're doing is we are building a custom 3D building store from scratch in Blender, and then we're going to bring it into WalkTheWeb and show you how you can make an online store. But this is from scratch. We've been building this building, and now we're going to actually put the textures on the building today. And then on another day, we'll follow up with the final part, which is taking what you've created in Blender and bringing it into WalkTheWeb and making all the doors open and close and things load up at different times and put all your objects inside your store and everything else. So we're gonna walk through those in 2 different episodes here. So the first one is we're gonna get the textures on the building and make it look all pretty. So with that said, one thing I'm gonna tell you is that I've seen a lot of videos, of course, and I've done, experimented around and tried to learn it and do all this other stuff with working with textures and getting them all just perfect so that you can actually texture paint and do all this other stuff. And it's a great technique, and I understand how it works, and I've used it in certain things and stuff. But what I have to tell you in this particular case, I'm trying to keep the size of the graphics as small as possible, and I'm also trying to keep as much quality as possible, and so I tend to do more tiling. So what you're going to see me do here is we're going to be unwrapping this the UV editing. We're going to be doing some unwrapping of the UVs. We're going to be putting textures on different surfaces. We're going to be just cleaning up anything we see as we go. Last time we did all the seams so that we can unwrap it, at least get it 90% there or whatever. And the thing about it is, what you're going to see here is I'm going to be showing you how I can scale some things that are tiled onto different walls and stuff. When you do this method, I can tell you right from the start, it's not great for texture painting, but it works great for larger objects, because by seeing, having the seamless graphics and then having them tile across the page. Hey, good morning. But seeing the graphics tile across the page really makes a difference for covering a large area. But if I was to try to unwrap it in a way that I can texture paint and everything else, it would require much larger graphics to keep this kind of detail and cover the whole area of larger objects like a building, or if I even go larger than that and do a landscape or something. It takes a lot larger graphics to pull that off. And of course, when we're dealing with web-based stuff, which we are in WalkTheWeb, it can be a little cumbersome and hard to download. So I'm going to show you some of the things I learned, little tricks of the trade and stuff of what I do that makes it look decent and pretty high quality, and at the same time loads fast for web stuff. So hey, it's UDO. How you doing today? Yeah, good morning to you too. And here we go. So first thing I'm going to do is, let's jump right in. First thing is we need to, like UV editing, the biggest part about it is that we are going to unwrap this. We did all of our, as you can see in this image, we did all of our seams last time. And a couple things. One is we're going to click that button there so that it shows the objects we're doing into this screen as we go. The other part I'm going to do just for starting off is I'm going to highlight all of the areas. Notice how it's all kind of all over the place over here. And I'm going to say UV unwrap now that we've done all this. And see how it kind of comes out a lot neater. There's a couple spots I can see that are going to be troublesome, and we're going to fix those as we go. But that's kind of the first step in just getting the basics out there. Do as many seams as you can, get it all to play nice, and then unwrap it once to get started. Okay, so from there, I'm going to go to shading, which we're going to back up so we can see. And the other part is I'm going to get it in the right folder that I'm working in. And I think I'm under buildings. And this one. Okay, so there are no images already in this directory or anything like that. And the first thing I'm going to start with is we want some type of brick or stone or something to be the outsides of a lot of this building. So let's start there. by selecting the object. You know what? I don't have the sticky keys turned on. Let me get that going for us on this screen. Here we go. Turn that on. Okay, now you'll see the keys that I click on. Okay, go back to item. Yeah. Okay. Now we're all set up, ready to go. Okay, so by selecting one of the items, getting it down to the graphics here, notice I called it brick, but obviously there's a lot of things that aren't going to be brick here. We're going to start with that, and then we're going to change some things off from that, but it gives us a little bit of a ballpark to get started. First things first, we need to pick a texture. Now this cc0textures.com, it's free textures. You can be used in commercial work, and they are pretty complete and they are pretty awesome. By category, you can see there's a lot of options. They've had a lot, and they put out new stuff all the time. They take your donations, so please donate to them if you haven't. They're a great place to get things, and they work purely off donations. So definitely support them and keep them alive. It's worth it to all of us. But in this example, we've got bricks. So what I want to do is I want to decide what kind of look do I want to give this building. And once we pick which one we want, it doesn't even matter which one we pick, but I think I'm going to go with more of a white brick because I want other things to kind of stand out on this one. You can pick whatever you want. Actually, that's not too bad either. Yeah, let's go with white brick. We want to kind of make it more of a modern building than a old style building in this case. We've had a mix of different things that I've been making for the different scenes. The other part is this. There's PNG and there's JPG. There's also all these various sizes. 1K JPG, there's 4K, there's 8K, there's, as you can tell, there's a lot of choices here. One thing I have to say is that when Babylon or Blender works with different images, and so does Babylon, what happens is they download to the client, then they uncompress them, and then they load them onto the model. So even if you use JPG and you get a very small file size and it downloads to the client, what ends up happening is it can be, the smaller the file size is, the faster it's going to download to the client, but it's still going to have to unwrap to put it onto the scene. So if I'm creating something in a scene, and first of all, you can do 4K graphics. It's all great. It works. You can do 8K graphics. It'll do it. It just takes a little longer for everybody to download. And as computers progress over the years, we're going to be able to do that more and more all the time. If I had something like, let's say on a wall, I want to show a document on the wall or something, then I would go with a higher quality, like a 4K graphics, so that no matter how close you are, the words and everything and pictures and everything in the document are perfectly clear on the wall. But when I go with a texture and I'm also tiling it, then I get a lot of leeway to make it a certain size and of high quality graphics without having to be 4K. So in this case, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the 1K graphic. Like I said, you can choose higher graphics and it works just the same. But in this case, I'm going to use the 1K graphic. Let's get this to my right folder here. Storefront. And I'm going to save it. Some of them don't have a 1K graphic, so what I'll grab is the 4K so that it's still randomly square. And then I shrink them down using a graphics program to 1K. But this gets us started. And let me first go in here. We're going to grab this 4K graphics, copy that, and I'm going to drop it into the root folder because when you upload to WalkTheWeb, everything needs to be in the root folder at this time. Maybe later we'll work on putting them into different directories and stuff like that, but for now we're doing it all single level high till I write a whole file manager program, obviously. So, okay, so we've got these graphics, we put them in the folder. So now I can come in here and if I just click refresh, now you see the different graphics that I have. By default, when you use nodes, you basically end up with a principal BSDF type, and that's perfect for working with these type of graphics. So if I come in here and notice, first thing I have is an ambient occlusion, and that's technically our specular color. So we're going to wire that up to specular. We're going to take this one here, which is our, I know if I can move this down and I can, oops. And I can move that up here where it's not overlapping the lines. And basically this is my color, so it's going to be the base color. And notice what it does. Don't worry about what it looks like at the moment. We're going to take care of that with the UV editing next. But basically we're just going to get the image mapped to those areas. Now we have this one, displacement. Notice what I'm looking at, just so you can see it, is at the end of every one of these files, we have ambient occlusion, we have color, displacement, normal, and the roughness. Some of the graphics have different things depending on what it needs, but this particular one has those areas. And all I'm doing is wiring them up to the specific places. So this file is the displacement, and we hook it up to the displacement here. We have the normal, which we're going to hook up to the normal here. And finally, the roughness, which goes to roughness. And we start to get what looks, it's the right graphic, but it's not anything what it's going to look like when we're done. Okay, just letting you know. So now, where I go from there, let's work some more with this graphic, because I'd like you to be able to look, even if you have to, watch the first 5 minutes of this video and go, oh, I get the idea, and then run off on your own. Or even as a refresher, you can glance at it real quick and say, oh, I see what they did. So I'm going to do you a little bit more with this brick, and then I'm going to come back and start changing other things to be different textures and stuff afterwards. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is we're going to go to UV editing, and I'm going to select Z and get this. Let me guess, you got to turn that on for each and every single screen I'm on? No, it's on still. Okay, good deal. Just making sure. Okay, so if I take this section over here, now I want it to be consistent with where I put the seams for this area. So I'm going to pick all the pieces that are part of this seam set. So since those are divided off with a seam, I don't want to grab those right now, but I do want to make sure, okay, there are two little pieces up underneath here that I want to make sure I grab also. And what's going to happen, or there's only one, okay, when it indents there, I grab the little piece that is part of that. Okay, so I've grabbed one section of a piece here, and when I look and zoom out here, notice that it's here, there's a piece over here, there's a piece over here, but I told it not to have seams in those areas. So if I go UV unwrap again, now it tries to keep them all connected the way they are in the original drawing, to the best of its ability. Some things are still going to go, nah, you're out of line and this one piece isn't going to be there. The other thing is, notice how big these bricks are. That's nowhere near what we want for our building. So I'm going to move my mouse to the left side of the screen. And basically, if I hit S for scale and I do like 4, notice what happens in the image. We now get a fourth of the scale in the image. That's looking quite a bit closer, but you know something, I'm going to undo that and I'm going to go scale 6. There, now it looks like a bigger building in an area. So I'm going to scale it to 6 for pieces that are about that size. That gives me what looks more like, see now, it looks more like an actual part of a building there with a lot of bricks. So if we continue on around, we can do this to the different sections of the page. We just have to kind of connect the pieces that we want to be part of, you know, like if it wraps the bricks around this edge here, whoops, if I can get this over here. And if I can wrap it around there and grab these so that it has all the pieces that are connected to that seam. And I think if I move over, there's a little edge of it here and a little edge of it there. Okay, so if I get those, then if I do UV unwrap, now sometimes like this one, I was kind of hoping that it did this just so I could show you. When it's going the wrong direction, all you have to do is move your cursor to the left side and you rotate 90 degrees and you're back to the direction you want to go. You could do -90, you can do 180 if it's completely upside down. Hey, Abdul Coder, how am I doing? I can't speak today. I'm just waking up. It's a Monday morning, right? Hey, Abdul, how you doing? Doing well? And welcome for joining me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, so once we've rotated it the right direction, then I can come in here and scale it to 6 again like I did the other side. Whoops. Helps if I do it in the right window, huh? I just chatted scale 6, right? And notice, well, see now, because this is a smaller piece, notice how the bricks look smaller. That one didn't need to be scaled to 6. Let's try scaling it to 4. That looks a lot better. That looks about the right height. I'm just ballparking it and getting it close. We can do all kinds of cool stuff with this. One of them is, notice how there's kind of a seam here, and we kind of want this side to line up. Well, what you can do is, actually that's not too far off, but we can actually get detailed with scaling. One thing I have to tell you is on the left-hand side, when you are out, for example, this far, and you say G to move it, you're moving it big distances. If I scroll in and then push G, I'm moving very little in the scene. So if you need to make quick little adjustments, then I highly recommend that you work with the really close-up piece. I'm not even worried as much about the left and right as I am making sure that if I put it right on a seam at the top of the wall, then it kind of separates between what this was doing and what this is doing. Okay, and when I get it to look halfway decent, then I can leave it there. The other part I can do is I can move this whole top piece again and make it match up a little better. Make it right where it's at the seam on the bottom. It tends to be, if you match up seams, it's a lot easier than matching up half a brick. Because if you're half a brick, then you've got to get the texture in just the right place to match up to it and everything else. Now, I could have just left this undone and created a no seam there and made this all one piece. But the tendency is the more seams that you don't put in there in big areas like this, the more they can't fulfill keeping it all connected, and you'll end up with working with every single little square and trying to line them all up. So anywhere you can kind of take a shortcut on that, it is better. So what I would do in my case is, now see this one right here doesn't even match what's on this side, so I'll fix that one separately afterwards. But what I want to do is I want to go up here and take the piece that I can work with, the one that did make it a full seam all the way around like that, and basically I'm going to move this upward just a little bit. Now from the image over here, I'm still zoomed in pretty good, and if I go GY, I can move up or down, and if I go GX, I can move left or right. So now by moving the piece this way, I'm actually creating the top of the brick, letting it be a whole nother piece, kind of lining up where I want the pieces to line up. You know, like here, it's right on a seam, and it looks like this piece was here and then the next brick is there. It works for us. It doesn't have to be perfect, but having the seam line up is the best part to making that look halfway decent across the piece. So we're starting to get a pretty decent wall. Now, as I mentioned, this one did not unwrap with the other piece the right way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just those two pieces, and I'm going to come over here and rotate it 90 degrees, and see what it did? It just fixed this side of it. Now, this one in here, for whatever reason, did not completely unwrap right. So all I have to do is unwrap it again. And in this case, I can even hit S for scale and then just move it to whatever size I need it to be to fine tune and get the scale to look halfway decent and halfway close to the right piece. And I can even move it up, down, left, and right to kind of get it to line up some of the lines or whatever. But you can play around with the details on that. Notice how we kind of made this brick work and these ones don't quite line up. We can move that around. Actually, I would almost guess that this piece, rotate 180, and now all of a sudden it would be closer to what we're looking for. Let's go inward a little bit more, and GX. If it looks like it's going the right direction, but it's not, sometimes all it is the sometimes all it is the 180 out of position. So if the graphic was designed to match up this way and you're sitting this way, sometimes the lines don't match up, but the second you flip it 180 degrees, what'll happen is the graphic itself will match up with all the textures and stuff. So just a way that, you know, I've played around with this before and got it to work for me. Like I said, you're going to find a bunch of videos that do things differently, but the whole point here is just seeing if we can't get it to work for us. Keeping it with seamless tiled areas and working with the various pieces. So, okay, I'm going to grab the next section here, which is this piece. And I kind of do these one section at a time. I can highlight a lot more, tell it to scale, tell it to rotate or whatever, and then to go fix a bunch of rotations. You can do it either way. If I grab like items, for example, all these around here are about the same height. If I unwrap them all at the same time, I can scale them all at the same time. So that kind of becomes a little faster and a little easier to get them all. Notice I didn't grab this one because it's going to be one long texture all the way across the face. So I'll mess with that one separately because it's going to try to scale everything according to making that one fit the page. But if I come over here and do like all these sections at the same time, I should be able to unwrap them and notice that they're all lined up texture-wise. And now, well, this one here went the opposite direction. See, it happens. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab those and I'm going to rotate them first, and then we'll scale everything into place. So moving the cursor to the other side, rotate it. And now I can highlight all these others again. Okay. And we'll get them selected. Okay, and then I'm going to, I want to see a side that I've already been working with. So if I come around to this side so I can see about how many bricks that side did. If I come over here and say scale 6, that's way too much. Jump it to 4. It's looking pretty close. I still think it's too small. So let's go 3. I think that's a lot closer. If I line them up and put them next to each other, I can actually get even closer. You can move something temporarily if you need to or whatever. But here's, getting a good ballpark eye is, going to be close enough for our government work, right? No. My dad used to work for industry. So he used to always say, good enough for government, close enough for government work. So, okay, so GY, and I'm going to move that up to, notice I'm watching the top seam up here. I just want to make sure that's, on the seam of this one. Okay, that should put these in a pretty decent position. Notice here, this is the top seam, but these aren't. I might as well line up this because it's going to need to be at least, match up at least. We're very close. We're not too far off. But if I come down, I think I can come down just a little bit. Whoops. Helps if you put your mouse on the right side of the page, right? I don't want to move the design. I want to move the texture. Okay, so that's not too bad. Man, we do have a little bit of it down there. Let's go a little bit farther. I'd rather make sure we're not getting a second image down there. I can take this piece right here, and this is a little helpful thing too. I can scale this in the Y direction, and I can actually just make it span that a little bit better. And then move it up. And now we don't have like a half a brick on the bottom or a half a brick on the top. You won't notice that so much to left to right to how this one did compared to this one. So it tends to be all right. See, we have one full brick on the bottom, one full brick. We have a little bit less than a full brick, but we have this here. It tends to balance out overall. Not so noticeable. We'll keep it that way. That works for us. Keep going around, and we have this one, which we'll get next. Yep, I wrapped it all the way around the front here. Oops, didn't mean to hit that one. Let's hit that edge right there, and that edge right there. Okay, UV unwrap. And the first thing I'm going to do, rotate it 90 degrees, get it back to horizontal bricks. By the way, I chose the bricks on purpose. Now, if you don't want to spend this much detailed time working on it and everything else, what you can do is you can actually use something like a stone that doesn't quite have the brick pattern where it has to be this direction on every single thing. And that can actually save you a little bit of time if you're trying to get something out there quick. But if you're doing bricks, I wanted to show you how to work with them and how you can get everything to line up nice and pretty. So let's scale this out. Let's go scale 6. That's a bit small, isn't it? Actually, that is exactly what we used on the other side, I remember. So we did, I think we did 6. Bricks don't look right. They're too small. Okay, let's undo that. And let's go scale 4. It's not bad. I can always adjust these a little closer at the end, so I'm just trying to get them, you know, satisfactorily looking like whole bricks top and bottom, and kind of cleaning up the design a little bit as I go. And so as long as we get it close, it's going to look pretty good. You can spend as much or little time on that as you want. Chances are I'm going to get this whole thing done, and I'm going to see something, you know, probably late tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to go, I'm going to tweak that just a little bit, and I'm going to move a graphic just slightly, or I'm going to redo a different graphic or reset it where it needs to be and stuff. But as you can see, that's how this whole thing comes together. So I'm picking the pieces that are part of this and the top part here. Notice the bigger the piece, then the less we have to scale it because it's already making it fit. See, notice also, this is another piece I want to show you. You can almost tell in this design, in fact, you can tell in this design, which ones are all tweaked out of place. When you have points up here, and then you have points up here, and they look elongated or triangled or something like that, even though I know this is a rectangle piece on all sides, then what I start to notice is that, okay, it's not all in place over here. If you just highlight those and say unwrap again, notice how clean they become. They're all nice straight pieces and everything else in the design down here. So that's part of getting them in the right place, in the right scale, the right size, is unwrap the pieces again just by selecting the faces. Select the faces and just unwrap them again, and you can get a nice clean unwrap. Once you have that, then you can start working with scale and getting them all to the right place. Some of the stuff in the designs, like the middle of this, I might even change it where it's not a brick at the end. I may say, hey, I want something that stands out that goes all the way around the building or something. You can do things like that. I tend to separate textures so I don't have to butt up against it and, you know, work them in so they're perfect and everything. But, you know, wherever you need to, you can do what you need to. Let me get this to about the right size. I think 5, 6 looks pretty good. We're going to go with 6 on this one. And I could even tell with the design on the left, well, see, oh, that's actually not bad. I can live with that. That looks like it's pretty darn close to where this matches up and wraps around and stuff, even like, you know, just a little extra caulking there. So that's actually not bad to the design of where it sits. I think I'm going to actually leave that right where it's at. If I scale it a little bit, I can get it to cover up that little corner there. So looking at that again, let's scale Y direction. And if I move it just a little bit, there we go. Now see what happened is I've closed up so that there's a line right on the bottom, line right on the top, and that tends to make it wrap better around the edges. This particular one did not wrap, even though we said it's a seam and make it the whole thing. It actually did not match up with a texture that's above it. So we're going to take that one and rotate it 180 degrees and see if I can't move the texture a little bit to kind of make it match up a little bit better. It's not going to be perfect, but if I can get it to at least line up with the bricks where it looks like the grouting in between the bricks kind of just made a different design of it, then I'm good to go. Okay, and this one down here, notice it's completely the wrong direction. Let's see, I think that looks a little bit better. And then I'm going to move that one up so that it's right on the edge, and I will move it. I'm just trying to see if there's some particular place that if I move it, it kind of lines up the graphic. Like that kind of looks like it's one of our best matches. Most of the grouting lines up all the way across the line. It's not too bad. Yeah, gives us at least some consistency with the graphic. And the top edge here, I'm just going to move that a little bit to kind of blend the bricks. There we go. It's not too bad. So at this stage, I'm just ballparking things, getting them as close as I can without fully redesigning the thing. Okay, we're going to go across here. Okay. And we're going to see if this will unwrap for us. Nice. Okay, UV unwrap. So for starters, we know we are rotate 90 degrees, get it that direction. And then I think we did a scale, was it 8? I think that might be what we did on the other side, didn't we? That looks pretty close to the width of a brick. That's what I'm glancing at. I'm looking at this as a measurement right here and seeing how close, like the bricks right around it, if they're in the same scale. That's just what I'm peeking at the moment. It lines up on the bottom, lines up on the top. We're actually not bad for alignment there. And once again, these two sides need to rotate 90 degrees. And then I'm going to see if I can't make the seam look like it's about the same place. And that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's check the back side of that one. Not bad. Looks like we got the bricks to line up in good enough place. Okay. Now I'm going to do the front piece here. I'm going to do this in one piece and see if we can't make it look nice. UV unwrap. Rotate 90 degrees. Actually, it's upside down. It's funny. Rotate 180. You can tell by the design that that one was upside down. Now, notice one thing about this. This is the size of the graphic right here. And I am spanning things by scaling them out much larger where it actually tiles across it. It makes the bricks smaller, but the piece that we're wrapping, or basically tiling it onto, is much bigger in this scene over here. So this does give me an eye. You can see it over there as a reference and see how big things are going and whatever. And it does give you some type of idea of how you're scaling them and everything. So in my case, let's see. Let's try scaling that 6. No, that's too much. Let's go about 4. Let's try 3. 3 looks pretty good. You can actually count the bricks if you wanted to for a certain height and see how close you are. Me, if it's ballpark, I'm happy with it. It's not exactly touching the side edge, so as long as the bricks are clean and about the right size, I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, and then I'm not going to do this piece because I'm actually going to make that part of, well, actually I will do these. Let's get those in here. UV unwrap, and we're going to rotate. I guess we're going to rotate just this one. Rotate 90. And how are we doing scale? Let's scale 2 times. No, that's too much. 1.5. That's not bad. You really don't see when you're walking around in a scene from a top view, but if we have anybody flying or doing anything like that later on, which is in the plans, then we're going to definitely see from a top angle. So we want to make sure these things at least have some continuity and cleanliness about the way they're lined up. Yes, I even decorate the edges that you can't see. I have a habit of being thorough with what I'm trying to do. Okay, and if you can't move it around a lot, if you zoom in on this side, then basically you get a lot more control of where you zoom it, or while you're moving it. Like this doesn't match up quite. I'm close enough that I like to move it like there, kind of balance out both sides. Now we're looking pretty good on that. And we'll do, if I can grab more than one side at a time for doing something, I grab them both at the same time because then I tend to scale them the exact same way when I do it. So if I come over here and grab this and this side at the same time, and then UV unwrap them, then what happens is, notice it just did a nice clean unwrap over here. If we rotate that 90 degrees, get us back into a horizontal brick pattern, and they actually came up, lined up really nice. We're going to keep that looking good, looking good. See how this side did. Just double check them when I did it. See where the seams meshed up and everything else. We're not bad there, not bad there. Okay, we'll keep those. And you're starting to really see the brickwork going around the building. So let's get this edge. And the edge over here. Those are part of the outside of the building. You know what? Actually, we're also going to grab this top edge here, since it's part of the piece. Grab that edge there, and that one. Yeah, okay. Actually, the top one is underhanging. We're not going to do that. We'll leave that off. We're only going to grab the top edge of that. Okay, UV unwrap. We get some nice clean lines on that. And from the looks of it, we need to scale a little bit, but we're not that far off, huh? I think we're twice, so let's scale that. Scale 2 times. Nope. Scale 1.5. How's that looking? A lot closer. That looks better. I'll go with scale 1.5. And let's see how this did it. We got one here that went the other direction. There we go. We want it to go this direction with the bricks. And I'll double check the other side here. Did it do the same thing? Nope, they went that direction with the bricks. I'm good with that. Okay, so the bricks are done. Yay. Oh, wait, we got a couple more bricks. I'm going to do that with something else. I want it to be a border that goes up under this thing. So that's actually not going to be bricks. So the next piece is we need, in here, we're going to put some type of plaster or something in different areas. So let's pick that out. Let's go find a nice plaster type thing. I don't necessarily need bricks in there, but let's see what we have. We can have some worn plaster, kind of make it look like it's not too new of a building. Well, that's not too bad. Painted plaster. I got to think about if I wanted a different color or not, but you know, with white bricks, that's not a bad image. That's actually doesn't make it, it makes it where it looks worn a little bit, so it's not too new of a building, but somebody tried to paint it or something to keep it clean and it's worn off and chipped off. I kind of like this one. So let's go with this. Get the 1K graphic and JPG so that it downloads faster, even though it's, you know, decent quality. So put that in here. Save that. Open that directory and get my painted plaster. Bring these items out. I just copy them out to the root folder out of the zip file. And back in here, I'm going to go to shading. We're going to select one of these areas just so that we're on the what I called outer walls. And we're going to change that to, well, we're going to start building it up here. We have painted plaster. This one is ambient occlusion, so I want that on specular. I want the plaster itself to be, move it up so it doesn't overlap the line. If you drop it right on a line, you're going to actually get it where it intercepts the line, so then you have to move the points over, the lines over to make them all match. So I'm just trying to make it where they're not overlapping each other. This one is the displacement, so let's put that up here and connect it to displacement. And move it down this way just a little bit. We have the normal. And then we have the rough. And drop that up for roughness. And what we ended up with is this. On the side of the building, when you're looking at these things, I'm going to jump back to this. This right here, you know, we've got this painted plaster area here. Let's go to, see how it's kind of, you know, it's decent. It's not major. It does look more like plaster instead of the regular part of the wall. If I take these different sections, notice how it's one little cube and it's all out of place. So if I say unwrap, since it's a cube, it's going to go most of the page. And now you're looking at something that's more this size. That's not bad, but I'm going to go scale 2 anyway, just so that it's a, well, you can really see the repeated pattern if I do that. I'm going to undo that. I think I'm going to go with just the 1 scale. There we go. I'm going to go with just once across that, just so that it doesn't show the repeated pattern so much in that little area. So we're going to do that here, here. And then I'm going to pick these back places here. UV unwrap. And this one I'm going to scale twice as high just because we're covering a much bigger area. And now it kind of looks proportional to what that one is. Let's see, what else did we want that style? We want these up here. UV unwrap. It put both of them in about that size. That isn't bad. That isn't bad. Okay, and then we have these areas in here that I wanted to be the plaster. So select those, UV unwrap. How are we looking? It looks like it put them 2 different directions, which, this one, because it's not a brick, the directional on it isn't too critical. The only time the directional matters when it's not something with such a, you know, brick pattern or something is when you got two textures, faces that you're trying to mesh up. Then you got to get the pattern both the same direction so that you can do it. But since we created the seams right there and it crossed over the seam on around the direction, it's really not bad, and it does give us a little bit of a different design up here compared to what we had on this one. So I kind of like the way that unwrapped. And it's just trial or error. You know, when you do it, if you try it and you didn't like it, then you can always change it. If it looked good, then leave it. You know, so you're really, it's just trial and error. Okay, oops. Just trying to zoom in a little bit here. Okay, I don't think there is an edge there. Okay, and get the top of the door frame here too. Oops, not the window, the top. There we go. And I'm going to do this other one at the exact same time. By getting both symmetrical sides at the same time, it kind of guarantees I'm scaling them the exact same way. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for while I do this. And get the top of the door frame here. It gives it a nice divider between the door frame and the top window. When you do brick, you wouldn't try to make 1 row of bricks without anything supporting it or something. So it's just kind of an architectural thing. I'm no architect, so if some architect out there says, no, that's not how you do it, then I believe them over me. Okay, so I didn't need a lot of pattern on these pieces, so they do have a little bit there at that scale. Looks good because it's not perfect, but it's, you know, it's textured. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, and this, let's see, is there anything else? I didn't even finish. This should have been brickwork up here, so we're going to go ahead and we can scale and do the brickwork on these pieces. And see if we can't get those in place. UV unwrap. And that one's better than this one. This one needs to be rotated. Just this side of it, though. And rotate 90 degrees. Now that we have it rotated, now I can highlight it with that one, and we're going to do some scaling here. Okay. And just grabbing the various pieces that are all part of it. Oh, and I missed one. Okay, let's do that again. I'm going to get it with this piece up underneath here so that it at least attempts to match the seams. So let's do it again. UV unwrap. Yeah, see, now it tried to do this whole thing as one, which is fine. And this whole thing is one, which looks really good. And like I said, so now we just grab this side. And I'm going to take this side and rotate it 90 degrees. Hit in there. And now reselect this side so that I'm working with both sides at the same time. And I'm going to work on some scaling here. Scaling isn't that far off. Okay, I see kind of a little something. Okay, so let's make this side work first, which means I'm going to take this side and scale 1.5. It's not too bad. And I'm actually going to bump that just a little bit more. Scale the Y direction only. And just kind of, oh, see, notice how one side is, they're like disconnected. That's a little bit of the basis of how I'm scaling it and where my seams are and everything else. So I could probably move this piece separate than, oh, I missed one anyway. Let's get that piece with it. I missed one. Okay, that one, I got them both. Just want to make sure I grab all the pieces before I go scaling it. See, I didn't grab this one. That one's going the wrong direction. I didn't rotate it. Rotate 90. Okay, let's get everything the right scale first. And then we're going to line up texture as best we can. And get all the pieces over here. I'm not worried about the top edge just yet. We'll get that one in a minute. Okay, and the last one is that edge over here. Okay, so let's go. Let's try to get it the right scale. So over here, it's not that far off. It's almost like that piece is, oh, that piece isn't right. This piece isn't right because we didn't line up the top edge with the top edge, which I normally do. So I think the scale's off on this one. Let's do this. Scale 1.5, kind of looks about the right size bricks. Actually, let's go 1.8. That looks even better. It looks like it's lined up on the top, not too bad on the bottom. I'm actually okay with that on this side. That worked. This side isn't bad either. We're not that far off on that. I think this one just needs to go up a little bit, or down, whatever direction it is. Can't tell my up from my down, right? Let's go down just a little bit, and it lines up the brickwork a little bit better. There we go, that looks better. And now I'm going to fix the scale on this one because it just isn't right. I know it was one I probably started with, huh? But if this one isn't right, then everything else that connects to it isn't going to be right either. So let's see. Okay, grabbing that. I've got the whole thing wrapped up. Nope, missed one side of it here. That's why I was double checking walking around it, because if you get that piece there, then we got the whole piece here. And now I want to see, the scale isn't just right, because see how these bricks are that size and this ones are taller. We're going to fix that by going scale 1.3. Not too much. 1.2. That's not bad. And then moving it up to there. It's not right. Scale it. I'm just going to scale it free-handed here. I need it to be about the right height of the pieces I'm working with. And then move it to match up. It's looking better. Notice the top is like really close on there. If I can settle it down just a little farther, I can make it where the lines... See, I don't want that top and bottom line, so I actually need to scale it just a little farther in. Then I can get rid of the top and bottom line. I want it to be where the line on the top and the bottom, there's one on each end of it, so that the graphic below it can be its own line right here and its own line down here. So that's just kind of what I'm doing. So I'm getting the grout to be there and there. I can always move it left and right afterwards to try to make it, you know, match up the best it can. And that's not too bad for the front edge. It's not bad from the side now. And we're good on that side. Okay, so how bad was this other side? Yeah, we're gonna have to do the same thing over here. So that kind of, this one here kind of doesn't look right. I'm gonna move it so the grout lines up first. I'll worry about the top edge in a minute, but let's see if we can get it all anyway. Okay, so just lining up the grout on the bottom here. I'm going to move that down just a little bit. See, there we go. Now it looks like a complete piece, top and bottom. And then that also makes it the grout right on the edge so that the bottom piece is all one piece and there's no extra little bit underneath there. So that looks a lot better. And now you can also, because of that, wait a minute, we have 2, 2, yeah, we did that right. And that one's, that's funny. Okay, so that kind of gives us a little bit of a lineup piece to work with, and now we're going to fix this other side to match. I know anytime you're working with, you know, patterns that have to match up, it takes a little bit longer, but it does look nice when we're done, so it's worth the trouble to make them nice and pretty. So, okay, that's another piece. I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. Okay, so back here, notice, well, let's go from the front. It's actually not bad. I could do a little bit larger here. Okay, scale Y, and I'm going to go just a little bit. That's not far off, so I really wasn't that, well, actually, look here. We've got 3 here and 2 there, so obviously we didn't line these up the exact same way all the way around, so I'm going to fix that right now. Notice these are 2 and 2, 2 high and 2 high going across that edge. Much better for the design size. So our scaling's off over here. We're going to fix that. We're going to make it so we can, let's try there, and scale that up to there. That looks about the right height now. And this piece does not match the scaling of the rest of it, so we're going to fix that. Hey, Majestic Sammy, how you doing today? Hello to you too. And Cookie 42, how you been? How's everyone doing today? Great to see you all. I'm playing around with some textures, and they're doing some, you know, I use some seamless textures. I'm just lining up some of these to make them look a little bit better here. Getting it all going in the same direction. Let's see, is that going to play nice? Whoops. Peachy, okay. Let's see, we've got, no, I did. I highlighted everything I was doing. Let's try that again. And here we go. I'm just trying to match up some of these textures to about the right height of where they need to be. Looks like I need to scale that one out just a little bit. Reason is I need it to cover the span of top and bottom a little better. And there we go. We're so close. Let's scale it a little bit more. There we go. That works. Now we're a little bit better on there. Made that look a little cleaner. Okay, next. What's next? What do we want to do next? Let's do, just for a good contrast, let's do the top of the gazebo entry, the display area here. Let's pick something on this. And I'm thinking we need some shingles or something for the top pieces. I guess you might not have a middle mouse button. Yeah, it does have one. It does have one. Is there a shortcut that I'm missing? Probably is. Okay, so what am I doing here? Okay, so let's go find a texture that'll work great for this one. And let's see, we need some roofing. So let's go to, what do we have? Paving stones, wood siding, that's not what we want. Wicker, that'd be interesting. Cardboard, scratches, roofing tiles. There we go. Let's see what we have under roofing tiles. That's all they have. Come on. I know they have more than that. Let's look under tiles. I know those were all. See, I want some color. Well, I can also color it. You bring it open in a graphics program and change the color a little bit. That's an idea too. But those are the wrong kind of tiles. I'm not really thinking like that. Let's see if they have any other options here. Middle mouse button will rotate the view so you don't have to click the coordinate axis. Oh, yeah, okay. Gotcha. And I know if you hold down control, you can make it move around and stuff like that. I just have bad habits that are hard to break. I should start doing it, and then eventually I'll get used to just doing it every time. I know. The more I do it, the easier it gets, right? Well, let's see. We can make that roof tile area wood. No. Let's look for some wood. Let's go with wood. There's planks. And there's wood floor. Let's see what's in here. See, they do have some like red. I want something that kind of stands out. Maybe something like this. That might look better. Let's see what this looks like on it. We'll see how it does, and if it doesn't look right, we'll fix it. Okay, save that. It's the whole thing is we're just trying out different textures, see which ones work best. Once we get everything scaled and working right, we can change textures a lot easier too, because since we already lined up the way they are supposed to be, you can change it out pretty quick and then actually try different textures. Or we can even take one of the, like the brick, for example, take the color image of that and bring it into Photoshop and actually change the colors and hues and stuff of it and actually mix it up. Because I chose a white brick, that becomes very easy to turn it into any color brick I want. Okay, so we have the wood floors in here. Let's go ahead and go into here, shading, and okay, so I'm talking about editing these pieces up here. I'm actually going to leave those other pieces in between. Oops. I know if I hold down control, I'd get the whole wrap around it. I should have been doing that all this time, but I'll go with what I'm doing. And I'm going to first unwrap these ones. UV unwrap. And we're also going to set those as, get a new texture in here. And we'll call this, well, it is kind of roof. Or we'll call it red roof. Red roof works for me. Now we have this down here, and we'll put the wood painted floor piece. Here's the color. Base color. I know. There we go. And this one's the displacement. We'll hook that up over here. Then we have the normal. I can't even see it on my screen yet. There we go. Do the normal. And then they have a roughness. So whatever parts of the image they have, this particular one doesn't have a specular going or any ocular occlusion or anything like that. But I'm going to, oh, so why did it, there we go. And I'm going to mark those and assign them. And, well, we're going to jump over here. I'm just going to do a quick, I could play around with the rotation and line up each one of these lines separately. I just want to see how it looks first. So I'm gonna scale it out just a little bit, just to make it look halfway decent here. And boy, that really didn't. Yeah, that's not too bad. I know with the light, until the light hits it in here, I don't have the lighting all set up in here because when I move it to WalkTheWeb, it won't matter anyway. WalkTheWeb has its own lighting, even though you can bring over certain things. Now this one is the only one that's not quite going down the other direction, so I am gonna, let's rotate that, so more this direction. And for now, that's kind of cool the way that sits. We could play around with lining up the textures a little bit more, but for now, I actually like that. And now I'm going to do it over here. Do I want to do it underneath? Sure, why not? Just kind of getting a bird's eye view of what I'm doing. I don't know why that one has a separate piece on there and this one, oh, I see why. That was supposed to be the other piece that I just did. Okay, we'll get that in there in a minute. Actually, I'm working with that kind right now. What am I thinking? We can go ahead and do it. Okay, UV unwrap, and we're going to make those red roof, a sign, and of course I'm not going to like what I see. First of all, what did that do? Yeah, I'm going to line these up a little bit. And I'm going to scale these out, scale 2 again like I did last time, just so that it's kind of the same size wood planks. But as for this, I really probably shouldn't have wrapped the top around this side because it's trying to accommodate both and balance it out in the thing over here. If I do, for example, this like this, say UV unwrap, then it all comes up straight, which is what I'm aiming for. And then the side, do that separately, UV unwrap, and now it's vertical. And the only thing is scale 0.25, 0.3. That's not bad. Okay, I'll leave it at scale 0.3 for now. Some of these I'll tweak later if I need to make them a little bit more. But for now, we're going to get these all straightened out. UV unwrap. And UV unwrap. And make the scale 0.3 just so it matches the other side. And that's pretty good for now. That'll be a nice, cool front end on this place. And now I want to do some white highlights, so it's time to find some white wood. Let's go back over here. What do we have? Let's go with, what's in here? That looks more like it's been painted and white and doesn't have to be perfect. I know though, I'm doing a lot of white. Let's look at this thing again. I'm doing a lot of white. This is red, so it's going to contrast whatever we do. Yeah, I think we're going to be okay because they're actually different textures of white. So even if I make this a white building or something, I can still do quite a bit with it. So I think I am going to continue on the white path for the display. I'm looking at the window pane, so I'm looking at all these pieces that are in between here. So if I were to go window pane select, I get all the different things that are window panes, including some things that are not. We'll get those afterwards. Okay, that does highlight quite a bit of the window panes, which makes it nice. Okay, let's get the texture we want. I like it to have something like this. I like it to be not perfect. So, when you do things that are too perfect, then it really shows. The other thing is, it kind of bothers me that there's a clear seam in here. So I might have to do some tweaking about that seam so that it doesn't show up in weird places. But I don't think there's going to be too much I have to fix. So I'm going to go with that anyway. Okay, so download that. And we have planks. Copy that back to the root directory here of the store. And here we go. Now for wood planks, I'm going to edit the shading. Yeah, I like that color contrast. That one's pretty nice. So we'll have to do something else up here maybe. Okay. What do we have? Wood planks. So we have the wood planks here. which is the ocular inclusion. So we're going to hook that up to specular. We have the wood plank texture. And if I need to, I can actually go into the, I can actually bring that one up in an editor and actually whiten it more if it doesn't look like it's bright enough for me. But we'll take a look at what it sits like. We'll actually bring it into the scene and check it all out before we bother tweaking it. Okay, and the wooden planks, normal, and finally the roughness. Hook those all up. And you know what I haven't done in a long time? Let's click the save button because I'd hate to have to start this over again. Every time I think of it, I click it, but as you can tell, there were long spells of doing a lot of stuff that I didn't save it. I'm just glad it kept on going without any trouble, right? So back to UV editing. The first thing I'm going to do is, this is like totally out of whack for scaling. So now that I've clicked it this way, notice that's not too bad. I could play around with see how some of the seams and where they show up and stuff, but I'm not too disappointed in that at this time. But I don't like the scale of it. So I think I'm not going to do the detail with you guys right now for some of this because, of course, we'll never finish. Y'all end up with a 20-hour stream here. But I want to show you the concepts of what I'm doing more. It's more important than the other part. And first things first, I think with working with these window panes, it is a lot better if I scale that out just a little bit so that the wood does have more seams opposed to less, and the grain itself doesn't look stretched out. So by doing that, it actually gives it a little bit more character on the outside of the building. Now what I'll do later on is I can select these various areas that are in here, for example, and what I'll do is I'll rotate those so that they're actually, hey Owen, how's it going? But I'll rotate them so that they're going, the grain of the wood goes the direction of these large strips. I just don't want to spend too much time on that right at the moment. So that's kind of the cleanup of doing some of the texture stuff that I'm doing right now. Okay, now let's do, let's pick the stairs out here, which notice I do have these two that are the ramps just to make sure that everybody can walk upstairs no matter whose character it is and how they're designed and everything else. So we get this going here when we want to do the stairs. So I'm going to get as much of that as I can here. There's a little piece in there. Okay. Do I want to make it the same thing as the foundation? I guess I could. I don't see any reason why I couldn't. So let's consider this stairs and foundation of the place. I'll do that piece. I'm deciding which pieces as I go. And get the rest of these going around. And I think I need that doorstep too. Well, yeah, I think I do want the doorstep. Okay, so this is basically the outer parts. Was there a... there's one more piece right there. Need that piece. And there's one on this side too. Okay, I think I have it all, and I'm going to make that its own foundation, just so that it's its own material. Foundation, and we're going to assign it so that it's all what we're working with right now. Go back to shading. Okay, what do we want for the ground, the foundation? Let's pick a good character, a good thing. New building, nice. I'm getting used to Clubhouse now. I was looking added a while ago. Oh, cool. Yeah. I've been doing quite a bit of the clubhouse. I keep on throwing things in there that we need to do. We were talking about, I added coins now into scenes. So we've got that. I'll do it on another stream, but I'll break you through the coins. But we're talking about doing a health system so that if you fall, you lose a couple points of health. If you fall from too high, you could actually die and have to revive. And we're talking about all kinds of cool stuff that we can add to the program. Ranks and also skill sets, so you can actually build up your skill sets. So we want to do some of this really cool stuff here, and we're going to keep on including it as we go. So, okay, so let's see. We need a cool foundation for this thing, and I think because we're dealing with so much white, we need it to be a really cool, let's see, rock or a stone foundation. I don't necessarily need footpath rock type thing. We could do marble. No. Damaged asphalt. No. Let's look at... Let's first look at rocks. Let's see if we can get something that would be a cool base. Anybody yell out if you see one that you really like. Well, oh, that kind of has a character to it. It doesn't have too much grout holding it all together. That could be cool. That could be pretty cool. See how it has, it's not perfect. It's got some stuff in it. It looks like it's been a foundation for a while. Things are growing in it. I kind of like that idea. That kind of looks pretty good. Let's go with that one. If you guys want to intercept and tell me which one you like, you got to talk faster. Or jump in anytime. It's all good. It's all good. I'm just kidding. Okay, so we have the rocks. Let's see, let me get this back to a direction I can see everything. Okay. Okay, I thought it said it. There it is. Copy that. And drop it back here. And now, since we're working with this, I can just refresh this here, and we have the rocks. So this is ambient, okay. Ambient occlusion. So I'm going to throw that in specular. We have the rocks themselves. I need to move this up. Whoa, way too far. Where'd I go? Just going to put that up here so I can work with it above the line. And hook that up to base color. I can't even see what I'm doing. Wrong one. Move it over to there. Okay. We'll get the scale right and everything else here in a minute, as you've seen me do on a number of these. Okay, we have this displacement. Lucas, how you doing? Long time no see. You are right about that. Hello and welcome. Good to see you. Y'all ready for Christmas and the holidays? Everybody get all their shopping done and yeah. Well, we continued to work. I want to tell you this. Okay. There was some stuff I had to do that really I couldn't stream, such as a lot of security things and a lot of building up on the back-end hub. And so I've been doing a lot of that stuff to give you a lot more services out to everybody's websites. So we have all kinds of cool stuff. Oops, that's a displacement. Again, I picked up the wrong one. And it basically, so we built up the back end. I've been working on quite a stuff. Hell yeah, Christmas the best. Nice. Merry Christmas to everybody and happy holidays. Yeah, well, the one who's giving away and not receiving anything. Oh, well, that's cool. That's cool. You know what? That's a good person right there. Lucas, you got the right idea. I'll be the one who's giving away and not receiving anything. Well, you know what? It is good, and you're a good person for it. And definitely, it's always good to give more than receive. Okay, so let's see what do we have here. Let's go back over to UV editing, and I'm going to make sure all those pieces that I just did for that are highlighted. And then I'm going to UV unwrap them to give us a nice clean unwrapping of them. And it's a lot better than it was. I could have done them in separate pieces, which probably would have helped a little bit too. But project is evolving. We built up the back end. We now can give multiplayer to, I know, projects singular. Okay, yeah, all of it together. But anybody who downloads a copy of WalkTheWeb can now turn on multiplayer to their individual instances. I've refined quite a bit of stuff. We added a coin thing, so now you can drop coins in your scenes and you can pick them up. If you use a login, then it'll save them, and when you come back, you'll still have all the coins you picked up. So we're building up where we can gather coins, and then we'll start building virtual stores where you can spend those coins and buy upgrades for your avatars and stuff. So we're working on it. It keeps on getting better and better as we go. Okay, scale 4. Let's see, scale 6. Now I want to scale, let's say 8. And getting there. Scale 10. 12. That's not too bad. I'm just looking at the scale of it and trying to get it to kind of make some type of sense of how big it is and stuff. I might change out the steps so that it goes up to the rock foundation, but they actually have a little bit more, I don't know. I might change them out just so that they have a different texture going across them. It would be easier to see each step if I did something else on top. So, yeah, maybe. We'll see. I didn't grab this inside edge over here either, so let's go ahead and make that one foundation and assign. And of course that's going to be off on the designs and the look of it. That's not too bad. Just trying to make it look, you know, somewhat like it was part of the other pieces. And I'm sure since I'm working symmetrical most of the time. But yeah, we've added a lot of cool things. You know, we just keep adding. And so, but like the coin thing really helps out because now you're going to get the feel of a game more. Instead of just a program that can design games, you're going to start getting and seeing some of the actual game technology into it. A lot of the game logic we're adding right now. So as we go, you're gonna get more and more of it. So, yeah. There we go. Get that to look like the rest a little bit. Okay, that kind of does a little bit of a foundation and gives us a little bit of different color on that. Let's see, what else do I have? I know those. Okay, this is what I was talking about. These window panes on the sides. First of all, we need the wood grain to go the direction of the piece of wood. So for something like this, we actually want it to go, I'm not worried about the edges, or the side, well, the sides can do it too. If I take this and I rotate it 90 degrees, now notice we don't get so many of the seams across it. So now it looks more like a piece of one block of wood all across the bottom of it. So that's some of the stuff that I'll clean up. You see what I'm doing, so you know there's no reason where I'm going to sit here and do each and every one of those little pieces on the front window. Doing that, there's a lot of pieces. So basically, I'll hit those and clean them all up nice. But you get the idea. Doing things like this, where I just grab the different sides of this and I rotate 90 degrees, cleans them up. And see, when I have the seam like right here, what I usually do is if I GX, I can move that seam and kind of make it where it's either right at the joint or even off the page. Makes it look a lot nicer, a lot cleaner. And that's what I'm aiming for. So I'll be doing some more cleanup like that afterwards. But this is starting to really take shape. Okay, we need to do something with these columns because, of course, bright yellow in the front isn't exactly the way these columns are going to look. So let's go find something for this. Oops, let's go here. Best thing for the column, man, we could go with little tiny grains like that, but I think we can do better than that. Let's look at, should it be a wooden column because of everything we've done, or should it be could be a marble column? Nah, it's a lot of different textures. I could do it. I mean, it isn't bad. We've got this really under control with the size of the files and everything else, so it really isn't that bad of a deal. I don't know. We can pick some of anything. I mean, because we even have clay, which comes up pretty cool on something with the column that has all the textures to it, or the shape to it and everything. You know what? Before we load a different graphic to it, I'm just curious, if we take the columns and we put the red roof piece on it, how does that actually look? Okay, so let's... And let me unwrap those again, because now they're nice and clean unwrapped. You see what I did? Okay, that's a little bit better. Thought I put a seam in the back of that. Nope, I didn't. I usually put a seam in the back of it, because then you don't get this weird wood pattern in the middle of it. Okay, let's get some seams on this, because otherwise it's just not going to come out right. So if I do there and there, let's get around the top and the bottom, even though the top and bottom is fine. Let's do both sides. Okay, mark those as seams. And in the back, I kind of like to take at least one row somewhere near the back so that it's, you know, not the most obvious place, like when you walk up on the front of the building, and then mark that as a seam. Now what'll happen is when I take these columns, all I have to do is click on any one part of each of those and do linked, and I get, oh, it didn't link the whole thing, I forgot. Once we put a seam, it's not linked. Okay, so we'll just get the top and bottom here also. Link those up and UV unwrap. Now we have the sides separate than the rollers at the bottom, and you're gonna start to see a much better design. And what I'm gonna do is we're gonna rotate 90 degrees, and I'm going to select these pieces here, do linked, which will give me the whole span of these right here, and I'm just going to unwrap those again by themselves, rotate 90 degrees, and in fact I'm going to even stretch those upward a bit, scale Y, and I'm going the wrong direction, and if I do it just right, that's not too bad. It's got little lines in between, which is every other piece. Otherwise, I'd have to stretch it twice as high even once again, which really loses the... Now, see, it's stretching too much. I don't like that. Okay, because this one has a seam in it, I don't know if it's a perfect thing for this. I think we're better off going with a different texture. Yeah, I don't like the way the seam of the planks goes because it's cutting it across horizontally in the wrong places. So we're going to go with something that either is more wood all the way around and no seams, which could work, or we can go with something else like clay or whatever. But I really think something with a seam. Yeah, glad to hear you're doing fine. Have to finish some stuff around my place. Happy holidays. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And happy holidays to you too. And we'll catch you on Discord. Definitely. I'll be around through the holidays off and on. And yeah. So, but definitely tune in with us on Discord. If you haven't joined already with Discord, make sure you do, because what'll happen is on Discord, if I'm not here, you can find me there almost all the time. And we keep on pushing out new updates. If you join us on Discord, our link that's just down below you here. If you go ahead and click that, join Discord. In fact, I can even type it here. What am I thinking? If we do have the Discord going on here, then what happens is we also push out updates, and it automatically gives you notices of different things we've done and changed and updated in the program. And so every day or every couple days or something like that, you're going to see new things. You'll find out what things we've published out so that you can use them. We'll find out which things we can, there's all kinds of stuff that we push out there and show you and everything. So the more we do that, the more if you're subscribed to the Discord, you get to see them as they happen. And so it's all good. Yeah. So just make sure you join into Discord, and find me there anytime. Chat with me directly. It's all good. I'm pretty open to talking to everybody. So, yep. Okay, so we have wood 51 is the new texture we're throwing in here. And I'm going to, we're going to select these things up here. See, this is going to look so much better without having without having so many lines in the textures. So we can make it look like wood without the lines. Yeah, it'll look better. So we're going to take these ones. We're going to move them back over to well, first of all, get all linked. And I don't think I had one for them. I thought I did. I didn't label it. That's probably the case. It's probably one of these other ones, but we're going to throw in another texture anyway and call this one columns. Okay, good deal, good deal. And okay, so now that we have the columns, we have that. Now we're going to go over to shading. We'll take this columns one and we're going to put in our new textures. Okay, which are right. Let's refresh this. And now we have wood 51. Hey, nice haircut. My nephews just arrived. Our grandsons, I'm sorry. Grandsons. Got to keep the word straight. I'm thinking one thing, saying another. Okay, so let's get the color of this wood in place, the base color. We'll worry about the plank if it does a plank look or something. We'll figure that out in a minute. This is displacement. There we go. Then we have the normal. And then we have the roughness. Okay, and now looking at these, let's see if they set it. Okay, I don't know why it has all those planks and look to it. Let's figure out what's going on here. Material preview, columns. Did I not set it? Let's see. Columns, they're all there. Columns, assign. And, okay, now I'm looking at it. It looks better, but we do need to do a couple things with the wood grain direction. So I'm going to take these parts. I want to make sure they're going the right direction. So we'll take those, do linked. Oh, sorry, get back over to UV editing. And UV unwrap. And how does it look? Which direction are they going? It looks like we got it going up and down now with a little bit of a cross grain, which is perfectly fine. That looks better. Better, better, better. And now these. Since I only put one seam, I could make them all seams so that basically each cutout area ends up being its own piece and then it goes around it with the wood grain. That may look better because see what happens is the wood grain is trying to go like one direction here. But in reality, if it was one piece of wood and you cut it, the wood grain would go one direction across it. If it was many pieces that you put together, then the wood grain would go up it, you know, and stuff. So go two different directions on that. The one thing I want to do though is I'm going to try to make it where the wood grain isn't so prominent on these pieces. So if I go Control L for linked, and what I'm going to do is first of all UV unwrap does spread them out a little bit farther, and actually that's much better. Now they're not so like the seams they're not so concrete in just a little area. So I think that's actually going to look a lot better here. Okay, that's looking good. We're getting there. We're almost done with the outside of the building. We've got some awnings over there, and we got some little pieces to do up on the top. I think I'm trying to decide exactly what I want, and I think if I take these sections up here and make them match the awning, it would actually look pretty cool on this building. And then do something different for the centerpieces here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to try. If it doesn't look great, we can always swap it up, but I think it's actually going to look pretty cool if I take these pieces here and make it the red roof assign UV unwrap to get a nice clean piece here, and then scale that out like 4. Let's see what it did by default. That's actually kind of cool because I like the angles on these pieces. I want them to stand out that they're not perfectly square. So that actually looks pretty decent. These are all going down grain with the rooftop, which looks pretty good. And the back ones did exactly what the front ones did. Okay, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I could go with that. These pieces over here, we're going to make them the same as the plaster. Okay, so I'm going to make these plaster, just to have an offset on the rooftop here. Where's my mouse? Okay, and there's a little piece there. And I'm sure since we did this symmetrical, there's a little piece there. Okay, let's say UV unwrap those first and then change those over to being the outer walls assign. Now, let's see how it did. It's not too bad a scale. I really don't like shrinking those out too far because you really see the patterns repeating. So let me see. Do I need? Yeah, I do need it a little bit though. We're going to scale that 2 times just so that I don't want it to look like a stretched out image. So by scaling it out, it basically makes sure that it covers the distance that it has to cover without looking like a stretched out image. So that's kind of where I'm going by doing that. And you know what? Let's do these around here. Well, these are kind of window frames. Let's go ahead and do the window frame textures on these. And we'll grab those pieces and the second one over here. Okay. It's starting to look pretty good, huh? So we're almost getting it there. And the center section, I want it to be that same stuff too. Just because it's a good highlight difference in texture. It'll stand out looking, you know, like a nice white stripe down the center of the building. So it looks like the beam was painted different than the rest of the top. And we're going to make those the window panes assign. And in this case, we still need to unwrap those again, get a nice clean unwrap on it. And I'll be playing around with some of the directions on these. For example, these need to rotate 90 degrees just to make it not have the seams right down the middle of what we would think of as a large beam across the center of the building. So we'll rotate those 90 degrees. And some things like this, we're going to take those and rotate them so that it's the direction of the wood grain goes this way over here. The other part is, notice that it has a seam on it, and I can just move that by doing G and Y, and I can put it right on the edge, which actually works just fine. That kind of makes it work. Okay, we come over here, do these sides, rotate that 90 degrees, and this particular one, see how it's got a seam right down the center? If it doesn't reach all the way from one end to the other, I might leave the seam in the center, but I do want to make the seam actually, well, I kind of want to make it line up with something, so I might try for like halfway across so that it doesn't end up with another piece. GY, I can scoot that down a little bit so that the edge is right on the edge of the seam, and then I'm going to check this. How far can we go? Oh, actually, we can go the whole direction. There we go. Now we didn't have a seam cutting across it this way. So if it reaches, great. If it doesn't, then try to plan where it is. Rotate 90 degrees. And that one came out nice. And take this one. Rotate 90 degrees. And take that and move the seam all the way past an end so that it doesn't have it in there. These are good. Let's just go. There we go. Move the seam off of it. Rotate 90 degrees. And rotate 90 degrees. Same here. There we go. Okay, and this one is actually supposed to be my windows, so I'm going to make sure that it shows inside with my windows. Assign that. Now we're looking inside the building when we look, so get that in place. Okay, I've got two spots here that I'm going to do some like asphalt roof or something, or little stones. You know what, since I did the rest of the roof in this, I don't really need to load another texture for something that most people aren't going to see unless you're flying. I could just pick the dark, like the columns here, and unwrap it so they're all going the same direction, and then scale that out like real fine so that you don't notice the wood grain so much until you get close. That actually looks pretty good. See, if it was something that was visual, where you saw it from the front of the building or something like that, I might use a different graphic for it just to kind of complete out the look. But in this case, I wanted it to, you know, it matches the columns, which is all great, but at the same time, it is a darker area on the roof, and most people aren't going to see it unless you buy some jetpack in the future and you can fly over the building, or if you get a plane or a helicopter or something, you can fly over the building. So until we do things like that in the game, you wouldn't see it, and then even then, having a different texture than what's over here still makes it look right, but why load a different texture if it really doesn't matter to the design of what you're doing? Okay, so now let's go with a couple things on the inside. Let's get some of this looking a little bit better real quick. Okay, first of all, I can continue some of the looks from the outside if I want. Like this was a wood piece out there. Oh, first things first, I need to hide the windows so that I can select these edges near it, because they're really hidden otherwise. And I can make it continuous or continuity from the outside by selecting these pieces and go ahead and make these match the wood on the outside of the building. So just, like I said, a little bit of continuity. And what I'll do is we're going to make that red roof, assign, and then we're going to unwrap them again so that they get a nice clean unwrapping on it, and scale it out to 2. I kind of wanted more seams on this kind of stuff anyway, so now the thing is to look at the directions of them. That's all going the same direction. This is all, oops, this is all going the same direction, so those are actually pretty good. These are all going one direction and these are all going the other. So between the two sides we need to decide which way we want to go. I think if I change these two, rotate 90 degrees, then I think it looks better because it matches up with the plank's direction. So that's all fine with me. And then these should match up with the others. I'll fix the, let's rotate them first and get them in the right direction. Now, if I take this, I could have removed a couple seams here and then it would have automatically did this for me. But since I didn't and I'm already past it, I can go back and do it again. Otherwise, I can just grab this and GY and move the seam so it kind of matches the seam that's in the picture right here. Okay, now they line up pretty good, and I can do the same on this other side. Just by grabbing this and move it this direction until it matches up pretty decent. Okay, that works. And now, since I did it on the other side, take both of these and rotate 90. There we go. The rotation's off a little bit only because the it was sitting this way to be perfectly flat that direction, and now they're off. If I want, I can come in here and rotate and actually just straighten out the rotation of each one of those so that they match something, but Or I can UV unwrap these separately, which I think I will do. I'll take all 4 of these because I need them to be flat. And since they were trying to connect to the other pieces as they unwrapped them, they basically weren't. Okay, so now that I have these, I can go rotate 90 degrees, and I can scale, let's say 0.5. It's not bad. I can even get closer than that. Scale and kind of shrink those, or go in just a little bit more to try to line up the sizes a little bit better. About there. Take this one. Okay. There we go. And this one. Line them up a little bit better. And same thing over here. By highlighting them all at the same time, it does allow me to make sure I can grab them all at once. Makes it easy to, or they're all scaled the exact same way. So it does help to grab them all at once, and yeah, that kind of lines up where it's at. Okay, and that's all I wanted to do for those pieces. This is part of that beam thing I did on the outside. So, oops, inside here. And so I can actually continue the beam with the windows panes assigned, and then just make sure that they are kind of going the right wood grain here. Take those 2, rotate 90, and also notice that it's kind of, the image is all stretched out on it. So what I would do is I'd go to scale 2 or even 4 to make sure that it's actually picking up the wood grain, and it's not trying to miss out on the wood grain. I can take these and move it so that it's not separating the seam down the center. There we go. That one's not bad. Okay, next is, let's do some walls on the inside and carpets, and then we're pretty good to go. I mean, of course, there's always picking and doing little pieces more and more and more, but I think we're in pretty good shape here. Let's go ahead and let's start picking the pieces that are going to be the inside walls. And how much is that? Oh, it only goes the one section. Good. That actually works. Just want to make sure I'm not like grabbing too much for these window areas. Okay, and then finally I just need to peek over here real quick and see that I grabbed the inside of the window over here. Oh, looks like we have a little ledge there too. We'll grab that while we're here. This is going to help me scale it all at the same time, by the way. That's what I'm aiming for here. Okay, so let's grab that little edge. No, that's actually the other piece. We're good with that one. Okay. Oops. Okay, there's one wall. And thing is, this is going to be inside walls. So let's create another texture. Inside walls. And now let's pick something that we're going to use for the texture for the inside walls. Inside walls should be, let's see, we're not going to use a wood grain. Let's use I like a little character, so I don't want to do something that's completely nothing. Like here, I mean, I'd like a little bit more than that. Plus, I don't need necessarily white walls. Paint. Let's see what paint has. We have some. I know, even the white has little things. I'm really in a white mood today. I don't know why. I'm picking white colors on most things. I guess so I can change my own tinting of colors afterwards, because I can edit just the color piece, and actually just hue it in different directions, adjust the color combination of that, save it as a new file, and next thing you know, you've got a different color used on the seams, the edges. So I'm kind of leaning towards using those kind of textures a lot in this particular design. It'll let me, I can actually come in here, edit 3-4 different files of colors, just change the hue of them, and then release it as different color buildings. So it's kind of nice to be able to do stuff like that every once in a while. The other option is we do have fabric. Let's see what fabric does. Oh, this is kind of cool. This actually gives it a fabric texture on the wall instead of just a painted thing. I could go with something like that just to be different. I don't want something too hard to line up the textures though. I like the grain of the texture, but I don't necessarily want the patterns. So if I pick something, let's say like this or this. See, I don't mind it being, up and down pattern, but not necessarily left and right pattern as much, just so I can line them up quick and easy. So let's go ahead and pick this one as a fabric. You can pick anything you want for your walls and stuff, but this is just, I'm just trying something different here. So we have fabric, grabbing those, copy that, drop them out here. Okay, and from there, let's go ahead and we assigned it inside walls, so let's go ahead and switch over to shading for a minute. And fabric is here. Let's take this. This is ocular inclusion, so we're going to hook that up to specular. We're going to hit the fabric itself, and it's the color, so we're going to knock that with the base color here. And now we have should be the displacement, yes. And the displacement's there, and we're going to go with the normal. And finally, the fabric itself, the roughness. Throw that in here and hook it up to roughness. And we've gained that piece in there. So I'm going to go back. Let's save it, just because we got to save it every once in a while, right? Okay, we've got this wall. We've already named it inside walls, and UV unwrap. Why is it still showing brick? What did I do? Did I select the wrong one over here? Inside walls. This is all the inside wall. Oh, I didn't assign it. I'm sorry. Okay, so inside walls, assign. There we go. And see how it has a little bit of a texture to it now? That's kind of cool. And I'm going to scale that out twice because I want it to be a real fine texture to the wall, not something that you'd normally see from a little bit of distance, I mean. But see, that actually works out pretty cool. That does give it enough of a texture, but we're not a clean wall, not just a blank wall. I'm going to take for the second here and take out the carpet just so that I can work from underneath without scrolling around too much. And next, we'll do the sidewalls. Okay. And this is going to be pretty straightforward because we're going to come over here and say inside walls, assign, and UV unwrap. And notice this is why I was talking about this, makes it kind of easy but not. Let's see, it did these different pieces, but noticed some of them are still going the other direction. See, those are mostly up and down. This one feels up and down. I don't know. I can't tell. Is this one rotated the wrong way? It kind of does look that way. See, if I rotate it this way, you can see it's now working that and this one too. So by rotating it 90 degrees, now we're lined up with this direction. It looks like all the walls are going downward instead of sideways. I'm just trying to do some type of rhyme or reason with it. And getting this one over here, we have these two sides. Inside walls, assign, and we're going to UV unwrap those so that they come up nice and clean. Not bad, not bad. If we need to, okay, based on the size that it unwraps, we decide if we need to scale them, which actually, I think I did. Yeah, we should scale these 2 times just so that the pattern's less obvious, or when you get closer to it, it still looks really good. And then, how are we doing direction? This up here looks like it's going the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead, grab those, and rotate 90 degrees. And now they look more up and down. I think it did it here too. Rotate 90 degrees. I could be looking at the image over here on the left. It'd probably be telling me a little bit easier about if they're left-handed or right-handed on the, the grain of them. But, okay, so, because see, when I hold these up, they're up and down this way. And yet, if I rotate 90, this is looking like it's that direction now. Okay. Some are more obvious than others. See, they're going that way. We're going to move them. So we're going to make sure all these are basically horizontal in the long direction so that the upward direction. So like these, they're all horizontal now. The other thing was when I did this wall over here, I did not scale it. So we're going to grab that real quick and scale it. That should grab them all. And we'll do a scale 2 times. Now it's definitely, okay, that one. Rotate 90. And that one's good. That one's good. Rotate 90 to get the grain going the right direction. That one's the wrong way. Okay, those look like they're going the right direction. Now we got one more side to go. And a couple more pieces here. Let's get these all unwrapped. UV unwrap, and which direction are they facing? They are facing the wrong direction, so I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees, scale them 2, and now inside walls assign, and we should be good to go on all of them. Nice. Okay, I've got 2 pieces up here. I like the contrast idea that I was doing before, so I'm going to grab these pieces on both sides, and just like I did on the other side, I'm going to make those the, I'm going to make them the, not red roof, but columns, assign, and UV unwrap just to make sure that they're a nice, clean direction. They're going 2 different directions, so we're going to fix that. This one is good. That one, rotate 90 degrees. And these 2, rotate 90 degrees. And now I want to select both of these, and I'm going to scale them by 4 because I want the wood grain to look like it's a far away, and also, yeah, that looks good. I like it. Okay, last thing, let's see. I'm going to push Alt-H to get my ground back in here, and it's time to do some rugs. Need a rug or tile on the floor. We need something on the floor on the inside of the building to make it show what it's supposed to be here. So let's go ahead and we want it to include this and this. UV unwrap, and that is going to be not brick, but we're going to say a new one. I'm going to call it floor, and assign. Okay, now let's go find us the flooring. Okay, so fabrics, nope. We have tiles. So now it's time to pick out a really cool tile. So we want to do something a little different with this. I want it to contrast. I want it to have the tile not be the focus. Let's see. Could do something like that. Then it keeps it dark, and then anything you put in the room would actually stand out more. So I kind of like doing something like that. Some of these look like they belong underwater. Like if I was building a fountain and I wanted a tile at the bottom of the fountain or bottom of a pool, that kind of looks like that. But I think I kind of like this one because the tiles on this one are going to be nice and darker, which contrasts a lot of our light walls and everything else we've been doing. So I like the contrast, but I also like the fact that it has some color to it. So I'm going to go with that one. So we have tiles, we're saving it here, and tiles. Okay, copy that, storefront, drop it there. And now back to shading. And we have our floor selected, and we can refresh this, and we should see tiles. There it is right there. You can even see it. Okay, so this is the color, obviously, base color. And don't worry about the scale yet. We'll get back to that in a second. And this one is the displacement, which actually gives us our grouting when we do it. So notice how it digs in, makes the grouting look really shaded and nice. The normal helps give it some kind of a texture so that it feels like a little bit of wave on the floor instead of perfectly flat tiles. And then we have the roughness, which makes them not look so perfect, but also look at that nice shine that they have on them now. So this one was designed to look like shiny tiles. What it's reflecting right now is part of Blender, so it's going to be a different reflection or any type of characteristic when it goes into Babylon. Just giving you the heads up. Just like here, it looks like we're looking at trees. There are no trees in, unless you bring a tree in your building, in where it's going to be sitting afterwards, and you'd actually see the roof and the skylight and stuff before you'd see that. But I did want to show you that is what's happening there. Okay, so we have this here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this out by, let's try 6. That's not bad. That looks like large tiles, or we can even go farther and scale it out by 8. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I kind of like that. And if there was any alignment, I think we're doing pretty good because we did it all in one piece. The tiles all align going across here and up into this area and stuff. So it's really nice to see that we have one consistent piece going through the whole inside of the building. If you get anything else, then it gets a little hard because you got to line up each tile. You have to make sure they're all scaled right and everything else. So this one actually worked out really nice to do that. Okay, so we've done quite a bit of work on this, and I think it's only right to show you the fruit of our labor. So what I'm going to do, one more part I'm going to do. Before I jump to the next piece, I do have right on the front of the building, we have pieces like this that I did not texture, and that's going to be like a sore thumb when we go ahead and move this over there. So I'm going to move these over to window panes and assign them, and then UV unwrap, and we're going to be rotating both of them. Rotate 90 degrees and get those where they're actually cutting across that direction. Scale them twice the scale just so that it gives it nice compact grains in them. This particular one on this side, and get the underside too. Okay, so I've got these 4 pieces, and I'm going to move I'm moving the grain of where it folds just a little bit, and I'm just trying to make it where it doesn't have a line right, an inch from the end of the board. Same thing over here. Let's see what we have. And I have these pieces, and I am going to GX, move it so that the seam itself is kind of off the end, or it looks like we're catching 2 seams here. Okay, it's fine if we catch a seam. I just want to plan to make it not 2 seams if I don't have to. So GX, we'll move it. You know what? I didn't scale this one, so let's scale twice the size. That'll help us with the seams. Oh, I'm still going the wrong direction. Rotate 90. What'd I do? No. It is this direction. I am catching the ends of the wood there, but for whatever reason... Oh, I did hit it. See, it's right there. I didn't remember. So let's go to GX and let's just take these pieces and make it right off the end so that it has only one seam in the middle of it. And GY will move the seam of that direction so that it's about right there. That works. Gives us a nice clean piece. Now I want to do the rest of these. Well, here. Go that way. Nah, I'm not going to. Okay, I got to select them individually. No problem. I'll get them real quick. We're almost there. We're almost there, and then we're going to drop it in, you know, just so we can see the difference in our design since we've been playing around with this design for a while. We're going to take a peek at it and just get a nice preview of what the place looks like with these in place. There'll be little details we'll tweak and stuff on the next visit, but for now, we're going to go ahead and get this on the site. So, okay, I have all those selected, and I need them to be window panes, assign, UV unwrap, and then we're going to scale them by 2, and it's all pretty much going the right direction, so that's not bad. No, they're not. None of them are going the right direction. Rotate 90 degrees. Now they're going the right direction. We'll clean up some of that later if we need to, but so far that's looking pretty good. Okay, now we've done this much. Well, okay, let me finish out one more thing. The last piece of the front of the building is the door, and you see how the right door and left door, we have this texture right here. I'm going to go ahead and change that texture to, we'll start by changing the texture to not red roof, but like our columns were. Columns, there we go. And oh, did I just do that wrong? No, I'm fine with doing it that way. Let me just do this. Columns, assign, and UV unwrap. Now it's a nice clean door getting unwrapped, and we're going to make that. Got window panes in there too, so we're doing all right on that part. Scale 2. Let's see how this door looks. You know what else I can do is I can actually hide the whole building, so I'm looking at the door, and I can see both sides of the door now pretty easily. Let's see. I'm not seeing. Oh, we didn't put any. Oh, I know why it's all messed up. Okay, so let's put some lines in here to tell it where to or where the seams are on the door, because without the seams, it doesn't know how to unwrap, and it actually stretches it all over the place. So if I do this and get all these seams in place, okay, and then add a seam for here, there, and there. We'll even put a seam here and here. You know how doors are made. They always have one top going one direction and they have the next piece going the other direction. So on our look of our door, we'll go ahead and do that too. We'll go ahead and make it, oops, make it there, here. Okay, edge, mark seam. Well, since I did that part and then did this part separately, I got a choice. I can either make this piece separate, which I think I will do, because it's not going to connect all the way through those other pieces. So we'll make those seams. And we'll mark them a seam. Now when I highlight everything on columns, select for this, UV unwrap, now you're starting to see, okay, and what I'll do is I'll rotate that 90 degrees. Now we get top of the door goes this way. The top or the bottom of the door should go that same direction. So let me swap this. Actually, that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. Yep, this is the only one that needs to be rotated. Rotate 90 degrees, and it goes that direction. These go upward, which all looks good. And same thing on that side of the door. Okay, that worked. The only other thing would be take all these pieces and scale it by 2. Now we got a little bit better of a door piece here. You know, yeah, I think I'm good. Okay, so the other door. Let's get the second door in place. And stop editing that one. Go to left door and change this. Same thing we did on the other one, which is, first of all, make a bunch of pieces where they need to be here. And actually that doesn't have to be there. This one, this one. We're working our way around the door. Okay, and the back side of the door. And that piece there. I think we're in pretty good shape here. Edge, mark seams. This, select all. UV unwrap and scale 2. How did we do? Oh, I didn't select the right one. Okay, so all this, and instead of front door, we're going to change it to the, where's the columns? There it is. Change it to columns, and we have a door. We just need to change this direction and rotate that 90 degrees, and then this one, we're looking good on that one, and across the tops are that way. We're all good with that. Okay, we're looking good. So now one thing I'm going to do for right now is I'm going to check to turn off collisions on the doors because we haven't made them open yet. So I do want to come in here and turn off the collision so I can basically walk through the door. We'll turn the building back on so you can see everything for the building. File, save, and we're going to do file, export. Oh wait, make sure we're Alt-H to make sure everything's showing that should. File, export, Babylon. Okay, and we're on the next time you see me, we're going to make the doors open. We're going to load things at different times. We're going to set up the inside of the store with a bunch of products. We're going to do all kinds of cool stuff on the next stream. So that's the plan. That's where we're heading. And I just exported this, which means if I come in here, let's go to 3d.walktheweb, walktheweb.com. Get my character logged in here. Okay, that's me. And it's loading up the scene. I don't need all these downloads on the bottom of the page now. I'm going to go to the admin. Media library. And we have our 3D models. And here I can just say store, front, and see it automatically found out. There's a door and there's the feature. Okay, so this is where we're starting to put this all together. Okay, and if I click edit here, update or replace files. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload building storefront feature. This is the one we're working on. And I'm gonna first of all change my view here a little bit so that I can There we go. Okay, from here, first things first, I'm just going to kind of show you a few things as I do this. The storefront, when we do it in Babylon, we get this file, all these files right here. So any changes we actually made to the design itself, the points, the faces, the edges, and all that other stuff are recorded in these pieces. So we're going to go ahead and upload those. I have this right now setting to be able to upload 20 files at a time, or 25, something like that. So I can't exactly grab all these images at once, but I may change that on my server. I think I'm going to be switching that so that we can upload more than that at a time. I want to do probably maybe 100 files at a time, because then you can just select the whole project, whatever, and upload it. I don't need the zip file, so I'm not bringing up the zip files right now, but I am bringing up everything else. So let's get 2 planks, rocks, and see, these are all just our different tiles, the different textures that we added. And we got 2 more, so I'll just do them in the next batch. If you already have something uploaded there and you upload it again, it will replace the current file with your next file. So it makes it real easy. You can also delete files just by clicking here, and it will delete a file out of a package. So whatever you need to do for working with them. Okay, we have the wood floor and the wood columns. So let's go ahead and put those in there. We don't have any animations in this one yet, or yeah, we don't have any animations here, so we're good to go on those. Okay, so the other thing is, if I had already reloaded this today, then chances are I would need to go into my browser and clear the cached files. Otherwise, it's going to restore the Babylon file that was there before. But since we haven't gone into this scene at any time recently, we should be getting the latest version of it. So let's go ahead and open up the building itself, which is, I think it's storefront with big display window. I think that's what I called it. It's not very friendly. I'll have to change the names afterwards. But now you can start to see the tiles and all the work we just did. See, it's starting to really look like a building. I told you some of the images turn out brighter in here and stuff because the lighting from Babylon is actually different than the lighting that you're using in the other programs. So now you can start to see the different pieces. That has the texture on that side. Yeah, okay. There's, different shadowed areas, but you can see how the building is really starting to take some shape with the design, and the applause begins. No. And it has some really cool textures, and we did this all in one day so far, the texturing. So we have the path going in, and I don't have the doors swinging open, but I can walk right through them, by the way, because of the, let me see if I can walk through them. Come on, let me in. Ah, it's stuck in the door. Okay. See, I told them not to catch them, but yeah, whatever. What I can do is I can show you the inside of the building pretty easily. Since we're in admin mode, we'll make the doors open next time, so you don't really have to worry about that right at the moment. But if I click on this right here, now my camera moves separate than the rest of it. So I can move inside and see how we have the texture on the walls. They're not just plain. We've got an issue right there. Well, I'll show you how we'll fix that. And everything else is, we missed a texture up here on the top of this. So we got a couple cleanup points to do, and we'll get to that next time we start. But all I have to do is click these and do the UV editing on this piece over here. And to let you know what happened up here, I'm going to show you how we fix that real quick. Okay, so what happened on that piece is, if we come in here and look at our designs, if I turn on well, actually, let me do it in this other view. This one we have a little bit more room to see it in a full screen. So if I'm inside and I look up, and what was happening is I'm seeing right through these areas. So I'm seeing the sky. If I take this over here, and first I gotta be in edit mode, sorry. So let's get to, click that and go to edit mode. Now, if I click on this, I can turn on to see the directions of each one of the faces. And what had happened is this over here, a number of these are not showing that little line coming down, showing the normals. So the texture surfaces are actually facing the wrong direction. So if I flip them, see how it now points downward? Now we're looking at the direction of the normals, and the roof will be in place. So that kind of is our piece here. We have this one and this one weren't set correctly. Face, and we're gonna, oops, didn't want to do face, I need to do mesh, normals flip. Now the lines are hanging down. You can see the normal, the face of the piece is facing the right direction. So now we should be in good shape on those. This is not facing the right direction. Flip. Now you can see it popped up right there. And since it did it on one side, we built this thing pretty symmetrical. Oh, that one's facing the right direction because it's right there. And if you want to check, you can even just go mesh, normals, flip, and guess what? It disappeared. Go undo, and it's back. So that one's right. Okay, so now we have 2 pieces up, or 4 pieces up here we didn't get. We're going to go to UV editing. Circle around this way. They're already selected. UV unwrap. Let's get them to the right textures. That's interesting. Those 2 went on an angle. Okay. Let's go back to here and select inside walls, assign, and I'm going to do this in a different way. I'm going to select just these 2 and say UV unwrap and see if they work out together better. Nope, it still wants to do those on an angle. Okay, fine. Let's do just these 2. Sometimes if you collect the right thing, it'll jump to it. There we go. Now it's vertical. That one still wants to be an angle. Okay, we're going to fix this one. And all I have to do is rotate it here. And I can make it vertical. Okay, we have these 4 pieces. I'm going to scale them by 2 just to give it a less of a distinct texture, give it a little distance between the texture. And there we go. Okay, that part is textured. Those parts are fixed. And to do it, File, Save, File, Export as Babylon. And if you don't have Babylon, all you have to do is do a search in GitHub. There is a Babylon exporter for Blender. If you turn that on, then you get options like exporting as Babylon files. And also on top of that, you get these objects where you have something selected. You can say, does it cast a shadow? Does it receive shadows? Should we check for collisions? And you can make it pickable. You can do those things before you even export the image, export the actual building and stuff. So it makes it kind of cool for being able to do that. Okay, just letting you know those are available. And okay, we're good to go. Now that I've exported that, we'll save that. And in the update here, all I do is go to Media Library, 3D Models, and I can start typing. It uses the filter. Edit that, and I don't have to upload all these images again because they're the exact same images. The only thing it changed when I produced it again and made those changes I just did is the actual Babylon files. Now, I purposely, because when I create things, I want to give you everything in case you want to modify it and make it your own building in the future. So I put in the Blender files too. So if you download this, you actually get the Blender files with it, and you can go in there, make changes. You can do it in Blender. You can change it any way you want and go ahead and modify the designs and then come up with your own original stores. So I try to keep the doors open for you to be able to do every piece that you want to do. I make it easy for you to customize it and make it your own building. Okay, so clear browser data. I only need cached images and files to clear for it to load the new version. So now that I've done that, if I just refresh my page and see, I'm going to work on some of the directions of some of these pieces in the front, so you'll get some of that afterwards. But look at this, we have a pretty cool looking building, and if we look inside those items that we talked about before, I missed one. There's one right there, but notice how these are all facing inward now. The other thing I can do, I'll show you next time, is I can actually put a light inside the building. So we'll talk about stuff like that on our next visit, and we'll continue on this building. We'll clean it up the rest of the way, and then we will continue. See, we fixed those images up there too. It's now showing the side of the building, so that's all good. Okay, so we're getting there. We're getting there. We got a little bit more work to do. I'm going to fix that one real quick just so you see it. In here. Texture, this one right here. Oh, let me go to this Those ones are fine, and this one right here, this one was not facing the right direction. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so what am I clicking? Everything highlighted. Okay, let's unhighlight it. Oh, I'm on the window. Sorry. I was on the outside window, so as I clicked on it, it was saying, yes, I got the window selected already for you. Okay, so this one right here, that one has a line on it. This one did not. So mesh normals flip, and now it does. And I also glanced at, oops, let me get myself back where I'm looking at. When I was looking over here, I saw just one little edge. I don't know. I'll track it down. But we're good to go. So this was a lesson in texturing, getting the place the way we want it to look. Notice we've got a really cool building now. We've got a place that we can walk around from the outside. You know, we're going to make it next time. I'm going to show you how we add doors, how we make things load at different times. You know, we're going to work with it some more, and I'm going to show you how we can finish it out and get it into WalkTheWeb with all the extra functionality that WalkTheWeb provides. Swinging doors and loading at different times if we have different things we want to load. I'm going to show you how we can put the store products on the inside of the store, how we can connect them up to a WordPress website with WooCommerce. So yeah, so those are different things I'm going to be working on. And so we'll see you when we get back. And I want to thank you for joining me today. Thank you for following. I see a couple new names on the list. I really appreciate that and appreciate you following. And for all you subscribers, thank you for that too. I really appreciate it. But have a great day, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.